am not even trying to be dramatic, but Gypsy's situation keeps escalating like it refuses to ever calm down. Because after she tried to distance herself from Bree's substance charges and basically not addressing any of it, it turns out, according to FOIA documents that got exposed, Bree was out here trying to drag Gypsy down with her. And then right when you think we're done, we get more drama with Ken exposing their child's face. Gypsy's drama is never ending, so let's get into what's been happening. So a creator named Audrey decided to file a request to get FOIA documents connected to Bree's charges. And the charges were about Bree being caught with substances in her car and also having fake license plates in her car. Audrey exposed the primary narrative from the officer who arrested Bree. The officer is named Kelvin Cortez, and in his narrative, he says this happened on December 27th at 8:56 p.m. Deputy Cortez says he observed Bree's small gray car traveling and he initiated a traffic stop near the intersection of Highway 308 and Linda St. Lockport for an observed violation. Now, after the stop, Bree was observed moving frantically and nervously while speaking to Deputy Cortez. She was instructed to exit the vehicle and then she was requested to provide her driver's license and proof of vehicle insurance. And this is what the report says happened next. She provided her driver's license and then she informed Deputy Cortez that the vehicle belonged to her brother-in-law. She advised that the vehicle was uninsured and that the license plate did not belong to the car. The document then says that Bree was asked where headed to or coming from. She responded in a hasty and nervous manner. Bree mentioned that she had been headed southbound to a friend due to an emergency. And when the deputy asked what the emergency was, this is where she started name-dropping people. Bree advised that she was a big advocate of Gypsy Rose and that she needed to get to Gypsy's sister, but she was still unable to provide a direct answer in regard to the claim of an emergency. Then the deputy asked Bree to show her driver's license for the second time, and this is when she fully displayed the license in her phone. Now the report continues and gets even more specific. While verifying the validity of the license plate posted on the vehicle through NCIC, it was confirmed to be registered to a red Dodge truck. Bree was also unable to provide proof of insurance, and LPSO dispatch confirmed that the vehicle was not insured.
Okay, everybody, it is here. I have officially got the FOIA documents, and I did post a live going over all of them there. However, I wanted to post two pieces here. First up, we have the primary narrative by Calvin Cortez, which is the arresting officer. And it says on 12/27/2025 at approximately 20:56 hours, Deputy Calvin Cortez observed a small gray car traveling southbound near 5375 Highway 308 Lockport with an inoperable taillight. Detective Cortez initiated a traffic stop on the vehicle near the intersection of Highway 308 and Linda Street, Lockport, for the observed violation. Contact was then made with operator Brianna, who was advised of the reason for the stop. Brianna was observed to be moving frantically and nervously when speaking to Detective Cortez. Bree was then instructed to exit the vehicle, where she was requested to provide her driver's license and proof of vehicle insurance. Upon request, she provided her driver's license and proceeded to inform Detective Cortez that the vehicle belonged to her brother-in-law. She advised that the vehicle was uninsured and that the license plate did not belong to the car. Bree proceeded to respond in a hasty and nervous manner when asked where she was headed to and coming from. Bree advised that she was headed southbound to a friend's due to an emergency. When asked what the emergency was, she advised that she was a big advocate of Gypsy Rose and that she needed to get Rose's sister. She was unable to provide a direct answer in regards to the claim of the emergency. Detective Cortez then requested her driver's license a second time, to which she fully displayed the license on her cell phone. While verifying the validity of the license plate posted on the vehicle through NCIC, it was confirmed to be registered to a red Dodge truck. Bree was unable to provide proof of insurance, to which LPSO dispatch confirmed that the vehicle was not insured. In doing so, Detective Cortez simultaneously requested that K-9 Detective Isaac and his canine partner conduct an open-air sniff on the vehicle, which resulted in a positive alert. Bree was then advised of her Miranda rights before proceeding. Deputies then began to search the vehicle, where two small containers were located in Bree's purse. Container 1 was observed to be a small tube with a black rubber band containing 2.2 gross grams of suspected methamphetamine. Container 2 was observed to be a small cylinder capsule containing 5.5 gross grams of suspected methamphetamines. Bree was then placed into custody for possession of the stated suspected illegal narcotics. She was then transported to 4601 Highway 1 Raceland St. Anne Hospital for medical clearance before being transported to LPCC for booking. Additionally, they went on live after this happened and after I had contacted the police department and told everybody that the police officer told me the person that paid for her bond was somebody whose last name started with a letter M. And then I said, Sheena, I'm looking at you, babe. And Sheena went on a live and said, Audrey's lying. They never told her that. Well, Sheena, you paid her bond.
All at the same time, Deputy Cortez questioned that Canine Deputy Isaac Borchers and his canine partner conduct an open-air sniff on the vehicle, and the report says that resulted in a positive alert. After that, Bree was advised of her Miranda rights before proceeding. Deputies then began to search the vehicle, and the report says two small containers were located in Bree's purse. Container 1 was described as a small tube with a black rubber band containing 2.2 gross grams of suspected substance. Container 2 was described as a small cylindrical capsule containing 5.5 gross grams of suspected substance. Bree was then placed into custody for possession of the stated suspected illegal substances. Then the report says she was transported to 4601 Highway, Raceland St. Anne Hospital for medical clearance before being transported to LPCC for booking. And Audrey also showed receipts to claim it had been Sheena who bailed Bree out of jail, even after Sheena had denied it. But Bree was also refusing to accept that Sheena bailed her out. Bree insisted it had been her support group that she was part of. Now, what these records show is that Bree decided to use Gypsy as a card to try to get out of trouble. And honestly, she did not even seem to realize that could have landed her in the concrete jungle instead, because she was using the name of someone with a wild criminal record, including having unalived her mother. It's ridiculous that she got caught with substances and then tried to save herself by saying she was an advocate of an unaliver. She really was dragging Gypsy down with her. And we also can't forget how Bree had announced herself as Gypsy's manager. Then later, Gypsy came out and completely denied having a manager and denied that Bree was her manager at all. But now, Bree has two containers in her purse and she's talking about being headed to Gypsy's place. So it can also be speculated that she was taking her substances there, especially since Gypsy is also known for having a history of using.
First and foremost, Bree wants to point out the word gross in this report about how much methamphetamines she had on her. And she is not wrong whenever she says, it says gross, gross, gross. But it does not take away from the fact that there were drugs found in her car. And I'm sure that whenever the crime lab gets done with all of it, we will have exact numbers. But pointing out that it was residue and not full amounts only tells me one thing. Somebody did the drugs. So it's really not the gotcha you think it is. So again, gross may include the packaging. But the proof is there was still drugs in that car, residue or not. Now the video here has also been sent to me multiple times, as has Dreamer's threat towards me. And I have had several people tell me to call the DA and that they are calling the DA on my behalf to let it be known that this is happening with Bree on panel. And y'all, that is not necessary. And I do not encourage it, because that threat did not come from Bree. It came from Dreamer, also known as Linda. And while I understand and appreciate people wanting to protect me, please do not fear. I've contacted my local police and made it known. And that is all that needs to be done. Nobody else needs to be calling on my behalf because I have handled it at this point. And again, like I said, it was not Bree who made that comment. She did say they move in silence. And again, my local departments have been made aware of that. So I would like for everybody to stand back and just watch. And if there is something said about me, of course, send it to me. But please do not be calling people on my behalf. I promise I have a working phone and I will do what is necessary to protect me and my children. Now, the next thing that I would like to address. Everybody keeps saying, oh, Audrey went real life by requesting this FOIA. True crime is the covering of real life events. I don't know how to make that much clearer other than her getting arrested was her committing a crime or potentially committing a crime because you are innocent until proven guilty in America. But I am covering it because it is an ongoing case. And for weeks, they covered a case that happened in my real life, where my baby daddy went to prison for shaking our son when he was 3 weeks old. But they went a little far because this girl said she was going to deliver karma to me personally. And well, if you don't want to read where somebody told me about it, you can just read the comment where she said it for herself. And this girl has a close connection to Bree and them. Additionally, they went on a whole rampage and said that I was the child abuser, not my baby daddy. And then they talked about how my kids were around their father. And then they went on to discuss about how my baby daddy had been around my kids after getting out of prison. And they're not wrong. He has. And that is not entirely in my control. I am not the first person that has had to deal with something like this. My kids are not the first children that have had.
And whether that's true or not, it still implicates Gypsy and looks bad for her brand, especially when she was trying to clean it up recently. And this is another part that really doesn't make sense because using Gypsy's name was already obvious. But why did she have to drop Mia's name too? Are they trying to ruin her too? Because what business did Brie really have with Mia when Mia hadn't even been in contact with Gypsy herself? Mia is reportedly sitting there wondering how she got caught up in all this whole situation. Brie has a purse with 2 containers of substances and she's claiming she has an emergency tied to people with like Gypsy and Mia. And the way it reads, it's subtly implicating Mia as someone who might be a receiver of substances when Mia had tried so hard to distance herself from all of Gypsy's shenanigans. This report could have potentially sabotaged Mia and her stable career as a nurse. After Audrey exposed the report, Brie came out to address by immediately insulting Audrey, calling her slow and referencing the live Audrey had been in where they were exposing Brie's arrest reports. In that live, they were talking about the grams of the substances Brie had been caught with, and they were saying 8 grams was a lot considering it had been substances. Brie then said the key word in her report was gross added to the grams. She defined what gross meant: the total combined weight of a product, its packaging, and any containers that the product is in. So she said her reports showed containers containing 2.2 gross grams and 5.5 gross grams. Then she tried to prove her point by saying the actual amount of the product found had been less than 1 gram, approximately 0.7 grams. Brie really thought she ate with that comeback video, but she forgot that regardless of how much she had in that car, she still had substances on her and it was still illegal. Brie then told people to leave Mia alone. She said Mia hadn't been involved and she said she had already submitted a report for correction on the situation.
At this point, the jokes just write themselves. Gypsy's bestie Brie had this to say on a live.
Munchausen by proxy is not just it's the exaggeration, the fabrication, and inducing. It's all 3 of those things. So on that paper that talks about Tucker's being in the system, okay, at the bottom it says, strong possibility of Munchausen by proxy. Everybody's always like, what about the next line? I'm so sick of people saying that. Okay, so the next line doesn't say or, it says with maybe some unknown underlying ideology or something. And what that means, people take that as a meaning, or maybe there's underlying cause that we don't know. No. With maybe some underlying. You know what that means? That is like the fucking definition, basically, of Munchausen by proxy. Taking something, so many victims, this is what happens. They have a child that has this sickness.
So basically her claim is because it says with, that means the doctor is saying Munchausen plus Gypsy's actually sick. And during this, she tells Gypsy, ask AI, because it'll explain everything to you. So Brie, I asked AI, if a doctor writes, and I put the exact quote, does this sentence mean the mom has MBP and an unknown etiology, or is it could be one or the other? Forgive my typo. It had been before coffee that I did this. Anyways, it says it's not saying that the mother has both MBP and an unknown etiology. It's saying the doctor suspects Munchausen, but also leaves room for the possibility that there is some real unknown medical cause for the child's symptoms. In short, it means one or the other. And I confirmed. So the doctor is saying it's one or the other, and it says exactly yes. Anyways, I'm going to let you and your bestie finish out this video.
I love epic fails. I just do. So again, you haven't got close to anything.
Audrey decided to reply to Brie. She said, Bree's whole point did not make sense because regardless of the container being part of the game, she still had the substances in her past. Audrey also said if Bree was trying to argue that she only had substances as much as residue, that should mean someone did the rest of the substances. And that would still mean Bree was the culprit of the charge she wants to deassociate from. Audrey added that people from Bree's camp, like Dreamer, had now been threatening her and her life. So Audrey said she was taking action by contacting her local police and she did not need other people to make reports on her behalf. Audrey also said that Bree and her camp bullied her and brought her baby daddy and children's information onto the internet. She said they called her a child maltreater. She said they made a whole page about bullying her and included her children's pictures Audrey did not share. And she also said she did not use her own children in her videos. That to Audrey showed how low Bree and her camp had stooped. Audrey then exposed the text Bree had sent her. The text read, "If you're gonna tell my goddamn business, maybe try to get it right. You do not know what gross weight is, right? Or do you not? Gross weight is a total combination weight, including the packaging or container. I know this is fun for you, but again, if you want to tell someone else's business, maybe try to get it right. I know it's really hard for you to do that, but that's why I'm helping you out here. Also, I had nothing to do with that account. I did not even agree with some of the stuff they put out there." Bree denied any connection to that bullying allegation. She said she did not want to be part of the TikTok drama or try to cause anyone problems. Bree also wrote that she had submitted a correction in the report she wrote. "I've already spoken to someone and submitted a correction. And guess what? Things like this happen all the time. That's the reason that's audio evidence as well, because people aren't perfect. I don't know why you would ever say that I said anything about Gypsy's sister. Christy was literally there. Don't you think they would have asked her if her daughter was okay? Mia is a nurse in the last thing, and the last thing I ever want was for something like this to affect her job. But now there is people all over the internet that think I was going to her house to bring substances. She doesn't live down there."
I think Blue's Clues said it best whenever they said, "We just got a letter. I wonder who it's from." Could it be from Bree? No way. Let's see what she had to say. "If you'll go and tell my goddamn business, maybe try to get it right. You do know what gross weight is, right? Or do you not? Gross weight is a total combined weight, including the packaging or container. I know this is so fun for you, but again, if you want to tell someone else's business, maybe try to get it right. I know it's really hard for you to do, but that's why I'm helping you out here. Also, I had nothing to do with that account. I didn't even agree with some of the stuff they put on there. But you never thought to ask me. You accused me. I don't know anything about you. I don't care to know anything about you. Because I don't find there's a need for me to mix TikTok with personal life. Because unlike you, I understand everyone's dealing with something in their life, and no TikTok drama is ever going to make me want to cause anyone problems in their real life off of TikTok. Another thing, if you notice, I was pulled over at 9 o'clock, and I wasn't booked until 1:30 a.m. The reason for that is because the cop had another call to go on, and I actually had to switch units and be driven to the jail by someone else. The call he went on involved a GUN, so probably a little bit more chaotic than my situation. So 4.5 hours went by before this man was able to write his report. I've already spoken to someone and submitted a correction, and guess what? Things like this happen all the time. That's the reason that audio evidence is well, because people aren't perfect. I don't know why you would ever say that I said anything about Gypsy's sister. Christy was literally there. Don't you think they would have asked her if her daughter was okay? Mia is a nurse. And the last thing I would ever want was for something like this to affect her job. But now there's people all over the internet. I think I was going to her house to bring her drugs. She doesn't even live down there. I know that's not your fault that there's a mistake in the report, but it is your fault that you felt the need to dig in my personal life and put out my business. And now, because of that, other people's lives are being affected by it. I could care less about myself when it comes to this shit, but I do care about innocent people like Mia. She doesn't deserve to have people speculating about this shit. It's so sad to me. And I know this is my fault. It's not yours. You weren't the one driving that night. So I'm not blaming you. I'm telling you, Audrey, that report is not all correct. There was a lot of information given that night and a lot of time between the incident and when he wrote that report, and information that's being spread is hurting other people. I really want you to understand that. You might hate me, but this doesn't just hurt me. Anyways, if there's a correction made, I'll personally send you the update because I care. I don't care how this affects me, but it shouldn't affect other people who are innocent. The manipulation in this message is wild. It's clear she's trying to control the narrative. But I need people to understand Bree doesn't control the narrative. I don't control the narrative. I read the police narrative. Like, quite literally, that's what it's called, primary narrative. And Bree, you could say you didn't support that page, but is this not you following it from Gypsy's account whenever you had control of Gypsy's account? Is this not you commenting on that account? And you say you don't go real life, but is this not you?
In my fucking life, it's just is really fucking annoying. But it's okay, Audrey. I'm gonna start digging into your life.
So which is it, Bree? You do or you don't go personal live? Because you say one thing, but you do another. You're also putting out statements by proxy because you had Sheena post this for you, where you said, I decided to step away for a bit while I focus on...
But the report is what the report is. So people thinking that way wasn't false because that had been exactly what she had mentioned in the deputy during her arrest. Bree then went on blaming Audrey for people thinking this way, saying Audrey dug into her personal life and exposed her business and other people were getting affected. Bree said she did not care how the reports affected her, but it did not have to affect innocent people like Mia. She said Mia did not deserve to have people speculating those things about her. Bree's message continued, and I know this is my fault, not yours. You aren't the one driving that night, so I am not blaming you. I'm telling you, Audrey, that the report is not all correct. There was a lot of information given that night and a lot of time between the incident and when he wrote the report, and information that's being spread is hurting other people. And she added that she would personally send the updated report after the correction. But the innocent people she's talking about are the same people she felt the need to name drop to save herself. Even Audrey called it, saying Bree was trying to manipulate the narrative, yet all the evidence was saying something else. And the whole correction narrative wasn't guaranteed because people do not know if she was lying to save face or not. Then Bree posted by proxy through Sheena, pulling off Gypsy's moves of leaving social media when she gets exposed. The post read, I've decided to step away for a bit while I focus on myself and navigate some personal things privately. I'm no longer engaging in explanations or defending myself to people who don't matter. This is me choosing my well-being. I'll be back when I'm ready. And to anyone else, to everyone who has shown me genuine love, support, and kindness, thank you. It means more than you know. If you're struggling with anything, please don't let people turn my situation into entertainment stop you from reaching out. There are good people in this world, and I know because I've experienced kindness from all sides of this community. You matter. Never forget that. Love you all, Bree. So that means Bree has also taken a break from social media, just like Gypsy. But it's all a matter of time before she comes back with more contradictions. Because if it really doesn't make sense that Gypsy and Mia were pulled out of the air, misinformation is understandable, but this felt clear enough to have been brought up by Bree. Christy was on live with Bree and Bree's minions, and she was mad like any mother would be about the fact that her daughter's name was being associated with the scandals going on with Bree. Bree was defending herself, saying she had wanted to instead meet her sister and that the deputy must have misheard and thought it had been Gypsy's sister instead. But Christy was still subtly mad and demanding that her daughter's name be taken out of the reports, and Bree said she was going to correct it. Christy's rage is understandable because her daughter had nothing to do with any of the scandals, and it almost seems like she always gets targeted when Gypsy and her shenanigans sprout out. Apparently, Mia had even lost a job because of Gypsy, and Christy did not want that to happen again. And when you think about it, Gypsy had mentioned a number of times being triggered by Mia. She has also been jealousy of her a couple of times, and it's evident because Mia is very successful. She has her career, she's engaged to her man Andrew. Meanwhile, Gypsy has tried to imitate her a couple of times, and her best friend Bree must be fully aware of that. So if we play devil's advocate, it wouldn't be a surprise if Bree mentioning Mia had been intentional. What do you think? Was this a slip up, or did Bree mention Mia's name on purpose? Now, on top of all of that, Ken, who has been out of the picture for a long time, decided to launch his comeback by going live on his own account. He was showing himself pet his dog Parker using his flipped camera, and in the process of showing Parker, he ended up showing Aurora's face in the background, the face they've been trying to hide for all this long. Aurora was seated in the background when Ken showed her. Then he remembered he accidentally showed her face. He started laughing at his sleep nervously, and then he tried to comfort himself by saying it had been okay. Meanwhile, he looked like he had been just visiting at Gypsy's home with the way he was acting, and the fact that Roji and his performance is very predictable, but the fact that he showed Aurora on camera seems intentional. He knew Aurora had been right behind Parker, yet he still showed her. So wasn't this an intentional move? Can he claim he did not know what he was doing when even in the past he had slipped showing her side profile in lives? It's more like he has wanted to show her all along for whatever reasons he has, and honestly it's getting boring because they always come out swearing up and down that they won't show her face on the internet. So what do you guys think? Was this intentional or not? And what do you think about Bree's case? Does this complicate things for Gypsy? Is she connected to these cases? What does this mean for Mia? Let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe to keep updated on more to come.